So we're the Becks. This is my wife Becky. We have 4 children. Our oldest is Isaiah, tall one there on my right, and then there's Elijah. He's 10, and then Aiden, he's 5, and then Judah, and he's 3. So we've been serving at Brand New Day in the Philippines for 4 years, although we've been in the Philippines for 8 years. So we've been serving at Brand New Day with former street children, and today we just want to explain what God is doing there, how he's using us, and the vision he's given us in terms of how to continue to help them. Is it on, Matt?
There you go. Oh.
Did I go too far? So in Brand New Day, I just want to introduce you to some of our staff and some of our kids. This is messing up.
I think you have the upside down.
I think I am going upside down. Sorry. So at Brand New Day, we have 10 kids in our shelter, but we have several Filipino staff that we work with, and I want to introduce you to some of them because they're actually really the ones that help run the ministry. I'm only there every once in a while. And so I just want to introduce you to them. Of course, we have our co-directors. This is Erin Johnson. I know you've met her. And Krista La Rosa. And this is just a picture of someone from the Department of Social Welfare. Just last year, we recently got our license, which is a really big deal. You have to get a license to operate a shelter. So those are our co-directors. And we have a couple of our male staff here, and they're involved in mentoring and discipling some of the young men that are there at Brand New Day. So they've been doing that for quite a while. So some more of our staff. This couple on the right, they're some of the house parents of some of our boys, and they really have in my opinion, have the hardest job because they're there a lot of the time in every day, instructing these guys, helping to guide them throughout their lives, teaching them. And so we have some of our staff here. And this is just, again, that couple again with their children. I think I'm amazed, too, that this couple came in to work with Brand New Day and brought their children. And so they've had to incorporate their children into the ministry, which is not an easy thing to do. And they've had to make some sacrifices there, too, because, their children are there. And so they have to give their time and attention to these other boys that they're taking care of. So this is Krista here. We have sort of a family atmosphere in Brand New Day, and we don't want it just to be a ministry, but we try to spend time with our staff, and especially our co-director Krista knows our children very well, and so that's what we've tried to do, is not just have a ministry, but have sort of a family atmosphere where our families can get to know one another. And this is a staff, and this is just one of the boys here holding Aiden, or one of our guys here. And so, again, we try to make it a family atmosphere, and not just to have a ministry, but for them to get to know us a little bit better and to see how we function as a family, not only in ministry, but just in life. This is just a picture of some of our older boys. So the way it's set up, we have our shelter for the younger boys who are under 18, but we also have a separate house where all of our boys here that you see are over 18, live in their own independent living. And one of the things that we're trying to do is help these young men that are over 18 finish high school or finish their time at Brand New Day, and to transition into adulthood, and how to do that and how to disciple them spiritually, practically, how to help them to mature and learn how to work hard, and how will they be able to live independently once they leave Brand New Day. So we have 6 guys here, and they're living together and in their own separate apartment. And I've had a chance to disciple a couple of these guys, which I'll share a little bit more later on. Here they are, just their home. And so since they're living in their own independent living, they learn how to cook their own food. They're given money to go to the market and buy their own food. They're responsible to cook their own meals, all of that. So we're hoping that this is going to prepare them for real life, not just because they're not going to be able to stay at Brand New Day their whole life. It's just, So, and I think they're doing pretty well. They have quite a bit ways to go, but they've been maturing in a lot of different ways. And learning how to live together and learning how to get along and encourage one another, I think is a big challenge for them. This is just, I just showed this because it was our Christmas time, and many times supporters will give Christmas gifts or give money towards Christmas gifts, and so this was a time that we had, and these are kind of all of our kids just hanging out together and our staff. So we're really appreciative of those that do actually give those Christmas gifts, because these kids aren't getting, because their families are poor, they're not getting any Christmas gifts. So it may not seem like a big deal, but for them, they are always really appreciative at Christmas time when people give money and we're able to buy gifts for them. One of the things also that some of our young men and women are involved in is there's a local church that's actually in the community of where they're from, where a lot of their parents live, in a very poor community. And so one of the things we wanted to do is get them involved in church. And so here you can see a few of them here. The girl in the green, she's one of our staff. And so they've been able to learn how to do worship music in church, how to work together, practice, and how to serve the Lord in a practical way. And it's just been really neat to see them do that with joy and want to serve the Lord in a very, very practical way. So I'm showing this picture because this is the picture of one of the poor community where a lot of our kids are from, and this was during a time where the flooding was starting to happen. A lot of times if it rains really hard, there's torrential rains, the river will go high. In fact, it'll go up to the houses, and because the houses are just built on they're really rustic. Some of them have been swept away, so there's times where we've done relief efforts there. But that's where the local church is planted, and where they do their kind of outreach to the parents of some of these kids. Because we don't just want to reach the kids, but they want to be able to reach the parents and the families. Because the hope is that the kids can go and return to their families. That is the eventual vision. They can return to the families, and it's the families are following the Lord. It's a safe environment, because a lot of these kids, their families are broken, and there's a lot of there's drug use, alcoholism, and different things that would prevent them from returning. So that's why there's been a church planted there in the local community to reach out to those parents. I want to share a little bit about what my part in Brand New Day is. I do a lot of teaching and a lot of mentoring and discipling. What I'm doing here is just teaching a class on it was about social responsibility. So one thing I like to do, because I have a counseling background, my work has been in counseling. Before I went to the States, I went to the Philippines, I worked in counseling in Pennsylvania for several years. And so every week I run a group session for the young men there, and we do like art projects. And I'm not an artist, but we do art projects and writing, different activities that facilitate them and being able to express what they're thinking and feeling, because a lot of these kids have had traumatic experiences in the streets, and because they didn't grow up in a real healthy family, they really don't know. It's hard for them to get along. It's really hard for them to know how to solve problems. I'm having this conflict with my friend. So how can I solve this problem instead of just running away? Which a lot of times they do. They'll just run away back to the streets because they don't know how to handle conflict. So that's something I do in my group sessions. I really enjoy doing. Again, I said we use different arts, different ways, because a lot of these guys, they're not just going to sit there and talk about their problems. In fact, most of the time, they're not going to do that. But it's amazing to see some of the ways that they've expressed themselves through art and writing, through drama, through different avenues, and just expressing some of how they feel, or how that they've experienced on the street. Here's just another art project. We did a charcoal. We had them do charcoal drawings, and just to see the creativity too, and how because a lot of the times they may not even know that they're good at something, and this gives them a chance to be creative. And I always tell them, whether you're an artist or not, it has nothing to do with it. It's about your own expression, and so really, it's a time of non-judgmentalism. And they can just have that time to express themselves. I have these guys. I am showing this picture because they have masks, and I did this session called "The Masks We Wear." So what do we show people on the outside, but what are we really feeling on the inside? So they got a chance to color these masks, and it was just a real practical way for them to think about the things that they hide from others, or the feelings that they need to share with others, but the mask that they put on and show other people. So that was one of those practical activities we did. So now I just want to share one of the young men that I've been mentoring, because part of my role there is mentoring young men. And every week we're into the Word of God. We do the Bible study, but we also have time of prayer, and also just talking about problems and just talking about life and how to grow up in the Lord and how to just grow up in general. And this guy, I'm not going to say his name because we're on a live stream, and so I want to protect his identity. But he's been at Brand New Day for several years now. He actually was one of the first ones to come. And while he was at Brand New Day, he had an opportunity to be a part of another ministry in Second Mile campus. Some of you are familiar with it, called Honest Hands, where he also received some discipleship. But way back before that, when Brand New Day was still in its infancy and they were doing street outreach, he was one of those. You can see him here at the bottom right. He was one of those that was joining the street outreach, and they would do coloring and those sorts of things. So he was coming to that, and he told me that at first when he was coming in, they were kind of just coming for the food, because they were hungry. They were street kids and they didn't have food to eat. So that was kind of his first reason for going. But over time, he joined Brand New Day and came to the Lord. I don't have time today to tell his testimony, but amazing testimony of how the Lord saved him. He was saved at a street kids camp. So over time, we began to give him and other teens there opportunities to serve and lead, just in terms of just leading songs and worship. Here you can see him. He's actually a couple years ago was able to get his driver's license, which was a really big deal. So he's a really responsible young man, and he drives different people to different appointments. And so it's just been really great to see him mature in that way, becoming a responsible young man from when he was growing up on the streets, and now to see him I'm really very proud of him. He also was able to participate in a track and field thing, and because he's a part of a program called Alternative Learning System, sort of like a GRE program here in the U.S., but different. And so he was able to participate in track and field and received several medals. And just to see him be proud of himself, not in a bad way, but to see him accomplish that and see him grow in that, it may seem like a small thing, but just to see his growth and confidence. For several years now, every summer we have a DVBS program, and so he is always ready to serve the Lord, whether it's leading the kids in an activity or like in this picture, leading them in a song. He has such a servant's heart and wants to serve the Lord. And it's just been so much fun to have him in my mentoring sessions, and just over the past 4 years to see how he's grown in his love for the Lord, and he loves the Word of God. Like, he reads it, even though he has problems reading. Like, he has a hard time reading, but he reads the Word of God. And every time we get together, even though he's had a hard time in school, academically it's difficult for him, to see the insights that the Holy Spirit gives him while we're reading Scripture is just an amazing thing, and I learned from him. So it's just been a joy to disciple him and other young men, and to see them grow. So I'm just thankful to the Lord for that. And now Becki is going to begin her part of the presentation.
You want to push it? All right, I'm going to tell you a story about one of the young ladies at Brand New Day. Her name, we'll just call her R, and you can see her there in the yellow shirt, and this is one of the earliest pictures while she was staying at Brand New Day. But before that, her story begins with her mom and her stepdad. When R was a young girl, her mom and her stepdad had another child. It was R and her brother, and then now there was a new baby. and the new baby was from her mom and the stepfather, and the new baby was given lots of things, like always given food, always get taken care of really well. But R and her brother, let's call him M, R and M just were not really taken care of very well. They wouldn't get the food that they need. They wouldn't have all the things provided from their mom and their stepdad that they really needed. So they were really neglected. So that was really hard for her. So her and her brother M would switch back and forth. Sometimes they'd be with her mom, sometimes they'd go to her dad and stepmom. This is actually a picture of her dad and stepmom there. So kind of bounce back and forth between the two different families, and just a really rough childhood, just not really being taken care of the way that she needed to be. So that went on for a while. Sometimes there was times where her and her brother M would spend some time on the shooting range, is that right? Shooting range they have there, maybe begging and just kind of hanging out just because they weren't really being taken care of at home. So you can just see kind of just a pattern of neglect, a pattern of just not really having the love and attention and care that they really needed. So eventually R got connected with Brand New Day, and at first she just spent time studying for the ALS program that Matt was mentioning. That's similar to the GRE, where they can take classes, not GRE, what is it? GED, sorry, and take classes, and eventually they can take an exam, and if they pass it, they can go on to grade 7 instead of starting at first grade. And of course, when they're already like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, it's hard to start as a first grader, right? So she spends time taking classes and stuff at Brand New Day, but still being at home, still going back to her own house at night and stuff. But this was a hard situation, because it's really hard for them to make the changes that they need to when they're still going back to their own situation and stuff. So eventually she was given the opportunity to move into Brand New Day's girls' house, and that's what she did. So she started living there for several years. She started making a lot of growth spiritually, academically. Just God really started moving in her heart, and she started serving and loving others and loving kids, being able to just help out at this church that Matt was mentioning and stuff. So it was great just to see her, for us and the other staff when we joined as well, being able to see the changes God was making in her life. But for the ALS program, like, she was making progress, taking the classes and stuff every day. However, she took the exam once, maybe twice, and did not pass at first. So I'm sure that was pretty discouraging. But then eventually she took it again, and she passed just about a year and a half ago. So that was really great for her, and great for all of us to be able to see just the progress that she made in that. And so you can turn the next. Here's also another early picture of her when she was living at Brand New Day. She is the one all the way on the right, correct? So anyway, that was her, R, and spending time there at Brand New Day. You can do it again. So anyway, here was my math class. I was able to have the opportunity to teach her and 3 others for math, for their ALS, to really try to get them to progress, especially in math. All of them really seemed to struggle in that, so I was glad to have the chance to be able to help them with that. And she was the one who was able to pass about a year and a half ago. And here's the picture. It was really exciting when she had her graduation. We're just really excited for her to, after several years of working hard and doing her best in in her work, she was finally able to pass. And then this past year she was in grade 7, so she was able to really study hard and do her best in grade 7. And she went on now, because it's already started again, the school year for the Philippines, so she's in grade 8 now. And one thing that's exciting about her story, I'm going to do the next one, is that she actually has just transitioned back to live with her mom. Like, the home situation is a lot more stable now. It's not so hard and stuff. So she's been working hard to transition back to live with her mom. I guess every weekend she's been staying with her just for the weekend and stuff. And then just a few weeks ago, she was able to be commissioned back to her own home and stuff. So now that's really exciting, and it was a chance for the rest of the Brand New Day kids and youth to be able to see this is the ideal. This is what we're really working hard. This is what we're praying to God for, is that you'll make the changes. Your parents will make the changes that they need to and stuff, and you'll be able to get to a place where you'll be able to go back with a family member or to your own house and stuff, and be able to live in a healthy way. So the kids, because lots of them just run away. They run to the streets, or they run back to their home situations that's not healthy and stuff, and it's just not a good situation. But this is the way that the process is supposed to work, is really work hard, and your family works hard, and eventually get to the place where you can go back home or with another family member. So it was great for the other kids to be able to see that as well. Good. Here's another one, emotional time with some of the younger kids when she was about to leave. Good. And then a gift that they presented to her with a guitar for her to take home. Okay, and then here's a picture of some of our family. As Matt said, one thing that our family really values in being part of Brand New Day is just that it's a family ministry. It's all of us coming alongside Brand New Day to be there, to be part of the ministry, for them to see our family in the midst of different arguments we might have, being able to work through it, talk through it, come to good solutions and stuff. So hopefully they're able to see that in our family. It's not like we're able to spend that much time, but when we are able to be there, it's just really important. The kids love our kids and stuff. The youth of Brand New Day love our kids and love spending time with them, and we're just happy to be able to have a family influence on them as well. So here we are all bowling together. So. And here you can see it also, like just our two kids, one in the Santa hat, that's our 5-year-old, and then the 3-year-old, one of the youth is holding our 3-year-old in the back there. So just again, this was something that's important to us, just being us all as a family together, our kids understanding the passion that we have and just being a part of it as well. Another one, every year the Brand New Day youth come to carol at our house, and there we all together after they spent their time caroling. That's something that's important in the Filipino culture. Just if you want to raise money for something, you're able to carol at different people's houses, and you can raise money maybe for music, like maybe instruments or different things that you might want to raise money, basketball uniforms, different things. So, and another thing, different things that were involved in Matt and I, for example, like we like to do things with the couples. This was a Valentine's meal that we had with the different couples of Brand New Day, and just try to encourage everyone in their marriage relationship and stuff. So we just value that time, like as a staff and stuff, to try to encourage them and try to encourage them in their marriage relationship. So. This one's a little dark, it's hard to see, but this is our oldest son. He's 13, his name's Isaiah, and he's been learning how to do lights at our church for the church service. So here he was doing it for his school. His school had a play, and he was able to do the lights for it. And we've just really been thankful for each one of our kids and how they've been able to make friends at their different schools, and how the teachers have really accepted them and really encouraged them and challenged them, and just the schools that God has provided for each one of them. And here's Isaiah with his school that he's been in. And here's also, Isaiah's also had a chance to learn some coding, computer coding, and so he was able to learn it at school, but here he was able to teach some of the Brand New Day kids about how to do it as well. So that was just really important and great for us to be able to see him passing on some of his knowledge, and just the excitement he had to be able to be part of Brand New Day and to be able to have a little bit of ministry on his own as well with Brand New Day kids. And here's Elijah. He's our 10-year-old, and this is him in his school with his classmates, and we're just thankful also for the friends that he's made, and just the difference he's able to have there with his classmates, and just for the amount of love his teachers have poured into him. We just really are thankful to God for that. And here's Aiden. He's our 5-year-old, and he's been in preschool at a school, and we're thankful for that also. Aiden has some special needs, but the school was able to really work with him and help him develop and grow, and we're just really thankful to God for providing the school for him. We really didn't know it was available, but God just knew, and he helped him be able to be part of the school. Another thing that Aiden's been able to do is he has speech and occupational therapy for some of his special needs. So here he is with his speech therapist. And again, we didn't even know any of this really existed. We didn't know what the Philippines had until we started down this road of working with him and his special needs, and just so thankful for God for just providing what he has in terms of therapists for Aiden. And this is his occupational therapist that he had, and just really excellent lady, and just really helped him a lot with a lot of his difficulties. So, yeah. And this is Judah, our youngest. He's 3, and he's just a lot of fun. And he just, now that all the rest of them are in school, I've been able to have some little bit more time with him. And here he is at Aiden's playground, just Judah's having fun being a kid. So we're just thankful for our kids and thankful for how God is using them and how we're just able to be a family there at Brand New Day, and just be able to be used by God all together. The prayer request is on there. Okay. You want to say any last?
We're finished with our presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.
All right.